into the Sunday Journal. Thanks for being with us today. I'm your host, Matt Pitta. We get together each week to talk about issues facing Cape Cod, the islands, and all of southeastern Massachusetts. Welcome into the show today. We're going to be talking about a unique collaboration that brings local seafood to Cape Cod families in need. And this is a story I'm pretty familiar with. I've actually covered some of their distributions over the years. This is a partnership with the Family Pantry of Cape Cod and the Cape Cod Commercial Fishermen's Alliance. And we brought in a couple of folks involved in this endeavor to tell you a little more about it and how you might be able to help out coming up in just a couple of days. Lisa Cavanaugh is the Fish for Families coordinator with the Cape Cod Commercial Fishermen's Alliance, and Matt Linnell is a skate and dog fisherman out of Chatham on the vessel Lori B. Lisa and Matt, thanks for being here today. Pleasure to have you both here in studio. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
So, as I said, at least I'll start with you, if that's okay. I've covered this story a couple of times down at the Family Pantry of Cape Cod when you do this distribution. So, give us a little bit of an overview. Fish for Families, tell me a little bit about how this came about and what it's all about, please.
Absolutely. It was the idea of John Paparlato, who's the executive director of the Fishermen's Alliance, and he reached out to Mary Anderson, who's the ED of the Family Pantry, and they both agreed it'd be a great idea to combine the efforts of the local fishermen to help the Cape Cod families in need who are suffering from food insecurity.
So the idea was see if you could partner with some of the folks who are fishing in the area and have them go out and bring in some of the catch and help in part donate it to a degree. Is it a straight donation? Is there any financial component there?
There is. We like to support the local fishermen as much as we can. So the program is in place to buy the fish from the fishermen at market rates and then be able to distribute it to the families through the Family Pantry and other members of the Cape Cod Hunger Network.
I think that at times there might be a stereotype that if anything you're getting out of a pantry, it might be, it's big boxes of, dried food, right? You have to put water, pour water to mix. But so I guess the concept was here is that people who are in need, that they should also be able to obtain not only some fresh food, but healthy food. And
absolutely.
So tell me, how did that come about? What were the discussions that led to that?
Well, I think we all recognize that fish is a great, lean, healthy protein, and it's not always as accessible to families who are struggling to put 3 healthy meals on their family's table every day. So it's a great way to support the fishermen, buy their fish, and get it into the homes of the people on Cape Cod who need it. And it's wonderful that the Family Pantry has the freezer space, the storage space, and they really strive to offer proteins and fresh produce and some of the healthier food options.
Now, I've seen some of the statistics that you've provided in terms of the hunger issue on the Cape, and I want to go over some of those because I think people may find them, to be honest, somewhat shocking. First of all, let me start out with this, Lisa. When you use the term food insecurity, and it says the food insecurity rate in Massachusetts between 2012 and 2014 was 9.6%. What does that mean? What is food insecurity?
Well, it means that people would have some issues and some trouble getting, as I mentioned, 3 healthy meals on their tables for their families every day. That's kind of called a meal gap or a food gap, that they just aren't having the amount of food that they need to provide, a good amount of sustenance for their families.
Now, let me talk to you a little bit about, or have you talk to me a little bit about the amount of people being served. It's actually a fair amount of percentage of people on the Cape that are actually getting assistance from the Family Pantry.
The Family Pantry helps nearly 8,000 to 9,000 individuals every year.
That's a lot, when you consider the population of the Cape. I think that's about, or so, rougher, give or take, about 4% of the entire population gets service out of the Family Pantry. Do you think that people don't realize how big those numbers are? A lot of people just going about their daily, people who are doing okay, who are putting food on the table?
I think that's possible. I mean, Cape Cod doesn't seem like a place that might have these issues, but obviously we know.
In fact, we have it more than a lot of places.
We do.
That's what's really unfortunate is we do have these off-Cape stereotypes that, you're all in a little gated house down by the water, and really, I mean, it is.
I know.
People come down here and say, well, you have social ills, social problems here, and in fact, we actually have sometimes, in many, many cases, higher percentages of social issues that other portions of the country. Much higher cost of living, much average lower incomes than the rest of the state.
Right. We have that difficult seasonal economy to manage, and these are families. They're working families. Sometimes they have a couple of different jobs. jobs, it's just tough. If they've got kids, they've got elderly people they're taking care of in their families, they need some help getting the food.
Let me bring Matt into the conversation. Matt Linnell is a skate and dogfish fisherman out of Chatham. You have to think that fish fisherman, dogfish fisherman. You fish off the Lorry B. Tell me about yourself first of all, Matt. What's your background?
I grew up in Chatham. From a fishing family. My father's fished, and his grandfather, and my brother fishes. He has his own vessel, Perry's Pride. So we're kind of in competition together. But we've been, we've lived on Chatham our whole lives, and my father's lived on the Cape his whole life too. So, and we fish. When we just switch around on the seasons. We'll do monkfish and skates in the winter, and dogfish and skates in the summer.
So talk to me, if you would, about your involvement now with this program with Fish for Families. How did you get involved, and tell me what your thoughts are about it. We
got involved through the Fishermen's Alliance last year. We donated, a bunch of us, probably, I don't know, it's like 10 of us, 10 boats last year donated like 500 pounds of skate wings. Then they got processed in New Bedford. And this year they came to us, and we did the same thing, but this year they wanted a little bit more, and they took them off of just a few boats this year. And I happened to be one of the boats because I was into it last year. So
a lot of people, I'm kind of familiar with what it is, but people say skate. What's a skate and what's a dogfish? I mean, you're not getting cod and flounder? What's going on here? Talk to me about this. I know that the skate, especially the dogfish, is being looked at a lot more because there's so much of it off of the coast, my understanding is, and a lot of it is popular overseas. So let's just talk about those two species right now.
Well, we kind of got forced in the skates a little bit with the groundfish problems, and there was, we had been running into them the last 10 years with the skates, when we were monk fishing, so we kind of developed markets for them over the last 5-6 years. Dogfish was around in the 90s, and I fished dogfish in the 90s for a long time. Through the 90s I was traveling up and down the coast, and then the government, with regulations, they shut the fishery down for almost 10 years because it was like a discard fishery. Now the population has exploded now, so now we're starting to, they've increased the limits to 5,000. But the problem with it is the fish isn't worth a lot of money. It's a cheap fish.
So you can catch a lot of it, but even though you're catching a lot of it, you're not getting the same price point as you would for cod and something like that.
No, not even close.
But is it still worth it to go out there and catch it? I mean, you're still making...
we're kind of forced into it. Yeah. It's not like... I'd rather be catching cod or groundfish or something worth a little bit more money, but it's economics. You got to keep the boat going. Right. So I do skates and dogs at the same time because the boat's bigger. So
what is the market for that? I know that my understanding is that there's some overseas interest in the dogfish, and that it's basically used as a fish and chips fish, right? It's a white fish.
Yeah, that's basically where it goes. It's going overseas. And the fins, the Chinese like the fins for shark fin soup, I guess. Mm-hmm. They use the belly flaps or something. They make something with that.
Now, wasn't there some marketing thing going on? We're not going to call them dogfish anymore, or what do we call them? Cape Cod shark?
Cape shark.
Cape shark, yeah.
Cape shark, that's right. It's all about marketing it, right? So in terms of let me ask you this. If you threw that onto my plate, threw it into the fryer, would I know the difference between dogfish and cod right away, do you think? Or...
I don't think you would right away, but I think it's a little bit different textured, but not. You probably would if you ate cod all the time.
Yeah.
I mean,
So, Matt, obviously you're interested in continuing this program. You think it's obviously been a benefit to the community then?
I think it's a benefit. I think I'd like to see it get expanded a little bit more myself.
How so?
Use a little bit more of the fish. Try to get. Instead of buying so much, maybe buy from us twice a year, or buy more dogfish maybe once a week, or, maybe do some fresh marketing stuff with it. I mean, I think there's a lot of potential with it, but I just think it's, it's money. It's always money, too.
Sure, of course. If you're just joining us today on the Sunday Journal, we're talking about the program called Fish for Families. It's a collaboration that brings local seafood to Cape Cod families in need with the Cape Cod Commercial Fishermen's Alliance and the Family Pantry of Cape Cod. Matt Linnell is a skate and dogfish fisherman from Chatham off of the Lorry B. And Lisa Cavanaugh is with the Fish for Families program. She's a coordinator, of the Fish for Families program with the Fishermen's Alliance. Lisa, back to you now. Part of the message that you wanted to get out today today, on this holiday time frame around Thanksgiving, is that there's the thing called there's Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and now there's is it Giving Tuesday?
It's Giving Tuesday.
So this is we want to get this message out now that part of why we have you here today is to talk about what you want to have happen on Tuesday.
Well, for people who don't know, Giving Tuesday, it's a global movement that's a day dedicated to giving back. It celebrates generosity and giving to the charities you care about. And the Fishermen's Alliance is running a campaign this coming Tuesday, December 1st, to raise money for the Fish for Families program. The goal is to raise $20,000. And what's really wonderful is that we have 2 matching donors who really support this program, and so they will match every dollar donated on Tuesday for the Fish for Families program.
So how can people get involved then? How will they be able to do that?
They can go to www.capecodfisherman.org to the donate page, and they can write Fish for Families in the comment box and give their money on Tuesday, December 1st.
So this is what's important about this is that people are going to have their Thanksgiving, then they go crazy on Black Friday. I don't know what that's all about. It's insanity. And then I like Cyber Monday a little better. I can sit at home.
Yeah, exactly.
So on the Tuesday of after Thanksgiving, and as people are listening to us here after Thanksgiving, this is a chance for them to help out what is really a good local program. And can you tell people that the money that they're giving to this is really having an impact, right? Because you're going to take the money, you're going to buy the fish, right?
We're going to take the money and buy the fish. As Tim mentioned, the first pilot year, the fishermen were generous enough to donate, but it's really our goal to support both the fishermen and the family pantries. So we're now purchasing the fish. So the donations will go towards purchasing the fish from the fishermen, from the local fishermen, and it will ultimately provide nearly 40,000 meals over the course of 2016 for Cape Cod families.
So let's talk about from the family side here. And as I said, I've seen some of the families receive their donations. How has the response been? Because it's flash frozen, so it comes off the boat, Matt. Right then it goes right away into Bedford, and then when they flash freeze, what does that mean? It's frozen in a very quick manner,
yes.
So that it preserves the freshness of it.
Yes.
So once you defrost it, it really still is a piece of fresh fish.
Oh yeah. It's good.
When you started the program, Lisa? What was the response? What's the response been from your clients?
Well, it's great. The response is, I think, for some of these fish, such as you mentioned, skate and dog, not everyone was that familiar with it. So there's the building of familiarity, and there's trying to build sort of a taste preference for these fish. And the response has been great. The Family Pantry does a really good survey system to get their clients to let them know what they think of the food that they're handing out. And at least 75% of the people who took the fish really enjoyed it and are looking forward to more species. We've tried a couple of different we have different species throughout the year that we distribute, and we're trying different ways of processing the fish. So we'll have fillets, we'll have steaks. We're going to be doing whole mackerel. We seek out recipes that can utilize the products that they can get at the Family Pantry, and so we're kind of making it a really kind of nice package. Here's a recipe, here's the fish. Try it out, let us know, and people are very enthusiastic.
I know that you actually do hand out recipes too sometimes down at the Family Pantry, right? Now, so is there going to be another distribution coming up soon, or what distribution-wise, what's next?
What's next is mackerel. So that will be the end of this year.
The whole fish?
The whole fish.
Head and all?
No head.
Oh, okay.
We're going to gut them, keep the tails on. They look a little prettier with the tails. And we'll be pulling together a great recipe for that to introduce people to mackerel if they haven't tried it yet. It's always good grilled, and if people can go out in the snow, they can grill it. But we'll have an indoor recipe as well.
I'll tell you, leave those heads on. My grandmother's, God rest their soul, both of them, they used to throw that into the soup.
Yeah.
Make a Portuguese stew out of that, and absolutely, nothing better than that.
Well, yeah, go ahead.
So mackerel, is that being caught locally by the Chatham guys
Absolutely. That will be caught off Chatham and delivered to the Chatham Fish Pier and brought down to New Bedford for processing and brought back up to Cape Cod all within a couple of days.
Talk to me a little bit about just when your clients come in. I know that sometimes for some of these families, it's a tough decision. I would imagine for a lot of them, when they have to make that decision, they make the call and say, I'd like to be able to access some food because we're in tough times. It's got to be a difficult decision for families sometimes. How do you kind of make them feel okay about it?
Well, the nice thing about the Family Pantry is that everyone who works there, volunteer and staff, are just really caring, kind people. And it's set up so it looks a little bit like a grocery store. You go in and you get to pick your food. You're not just handed a bag. You know, there's a little bit of personal choice. And I think that's just a very dignified experience all around in terms of how the staff work with the clients. And I think, you know, it takes some courage to admit you need some help. I think it's nice to know that you're being helped by other local Cape Codders. So it's a community project. And a couple of times with the fishermen, I noticed some of the clients actually congratulating the fishermen on their catch. So it was kind of a back and forth, you know, thank you for catching it. Thank you for giving it to us. We appreciate what you're doing. It was a good experience.
Now, Matt, are you going to be doing mackerel too, or you just fish skate and dogfish, right?
Yeah, I'm not doing mackerel this season. Probably next season I will be. But.
Right. We have just literally probably a minute or so to go, Matt. Just generally, how's the fishery doing out there in Chatham right now? How are you guys doing? I know there's a lot going on with the at-sea monitors and everything that's coming up, but just generally, how are you guys doing?
Generally, it was a struggle this year. We did really well this spring, some of us that were monk fishing, and then we had a lot of problems this year with pricing on the skates and the dogfish, so we took a pretty good hit on pricing. Product was there, but and the fall's been, a lot of the guys have switched over to mackerel fishing, so they've been doing all right.
For everything you guys go through, though, you said your family's always been in this for a long time. We're in
the long haul.
I was going to say you're in it for the long haul, right?
Yeah.
You're not going anywhere.
No.
All right. Well, Matt, thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it very much. Matt Linnell is a fisherman in Chatham with the vessel Lori B. And Lisa Cavanaugh is the Fish for Families coordinator with Cape Cod Commercial Fishermen's Alliance. Lisa, a quick moment left here. What do people need to know about Giving Tuesday and how they can help out coming up in just a couple of days regarding the Fish for Families program?
Right. Well, once again, if people are inclined to donate to this great program, you go to www.capecodfisherman.org to the donate page, indicate Fish for Families in the comment box, and every dollar you give on December 1st is going to be matched by supporters. And again, our goal is $20,000 to really increase this program for 2016.
Have a great holiday, everybody. We appreciate you coming by and joining us today on the Sunday Journal. We hope you have a big day on Tuesday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for being with us today. I'm your host, Matt Pitta.